All right, so this sheet on histograms, you're going to cut it in half and put it in your journal. I have it on page 122 and 123. And it just gives us some information about histograms. So go ahead, take the time, cut it in half, glue it in your journal, and then we'll talk about it in just a minute. No. Okay. All right, so while some of you are finishing gluing, let's go ahead and talk about this information. So what are histograms used for, and how do they differ from bar charts? So they look similar to a bar chart. Bar charts display and compare data, and I know this is small, but we can look, and we can see that these bars don't necessarily touch, but they give data about individual things. So do histograms, but we use equal intervals of values or data ranges. So down here we have ranges. This area is 0 to 19, 20 to 39, 40 to 59, 60 to 79, and 80 to 99. So what's different is these are individual things and these compare data ranges. The definition of a histogram. A histogram is a bar graph that shows the frequency of data within equal intervals. There is no space between the bars in a histogram. So over here they're going to show us an example. These are the number of laps students ran one day around Phoenix House. We will make a histogram of the data together. So the first thing they do is take this information and organize it into a chart with intervals and frequency. So the first thing they do is they set up intervals. So their sections are how many laps were from 0 to 4 laps, how many were from 5 to 9 laps, 10 to 14 laps, and 15 to 19 laps. And then if it was me, I would probably do a tally chart. And I would look and say, okay, so 4 falls right here in this. 7 falls in this category. 9 in this. 12 here. 3 here. So you get the idea. You can do a tally chart and then you make a number, right? And then you can take this information and then create a bar down here. And then with intervals, your intervals are going to match the intervals that you set up there. So 0 to 4, and we said that there were 3 people that did that. And so your bar goes up to there, right? So the big difference between a bar chart and a histogram is what? What's the big difference? Down here, what are those called? Right here, what's this word? Intervals. The big difference is your data is in intervals. It's not individual. We're not going to say there's a bar for how many people ran 3 laps. There's a bar for how many people that ran 4 laps. Because that might not be as effective, because wouldn't it be hard to make a bar for every single one of these? There was one person that ran 4, so do you want to make a bar just for 4 laps? And then, let's see, 2 people for 7, none for 0, none for 1. So it wouldn't really make sense to make a regular bar graph. All right, so let's look at our example here. And let's make one together. So you all should have these notes right here that say histogram. And I'm going to separate right here so I can tally in this section. I'm going to make tally marks in this section. All right, so chocolate candies per bag of trail mix. So apparently they did a study. They checked individual bags of trail mix to see how many chocolate candies were in each one. And it looks like some people had a good amount, and some people might have been sad if that was me and I got a bag with 31 M&Ms in it and somebody else got 119. I would be unhappy. All right, so let's take a look. Our different intervals. 1 to 20, 21 to 40, 41 to 60, 61 to 80, and 81 to 100. So we've got to go through and decide which interval each one of these fit into. So 50 goes right here, so I'm going to make a tally mark and cross it off. 42 also goes in that section and cross it off. 119. There's nothing there, so let's do 101 to 120. Let's make a new one. And so it would go right here. 45 goes in here. 68 here. 32 there. 67 here. 111 goes here. 61 here. 31 there. 75 there. 39. All right, 62 goes in this section. When you're making tally marks after you get to 4, what do you do for the fifth one? You draw this sideways line to show that's a group of 5. It makes it easier for tallying at the end. Okay? All right, 64 starts our next group of 5. 49. 55. It also goes right here, so it's going to be our fifth line, so we're going to draw it diagonally. 41. No, I'm sorry, 51. 33. 117 goes in this group we made down here. 96. 64. And 82. That should be all of them. All right, so let's go through and look. In our interval 1 to 20, we have 0. 21 to 40, we have 4. 41 to 60, we have 6. 61 to 80, 81 to 100, and 101 to 120. Is it 3 or 4? I have 3. 3, okay. All right. So, do you all see how you use a frequency table to set up to make the chart? If I was doing that, could I have made my own intervals? Yes. Okay. All right, now let's see how we're going to graph it. Remember, do they need to touch? Do our bars need to touch or not touch? They do need to touch. All right. Is there going to be a bar at all in 1 to 20? No. All right, 21 to 40, what do we need to go up to? 4. So you can kind of see halfway through there might be a little mark. So I'm going to go straight up, go to 4, go straight over, and then go back down halfway between those two intervals. I've got 4. If I had a colored pencil, I'd probably shade it in. I don't want to do that with this marker. And I might do mine different colors to make it stand out a little bit more. All right, in the 41 to 60, how many do we have? 6. So I'm going to build off of this side, go up to 6, go across, and go back down. So I need to build from here, go up to 6, go over, and then go back down. All right, in the next category, how many do we have? 7. I'm going to use a different color. So I just need to go up. I need to build up from 1 here, go over, and then go back down. All right, and 81 to 100, how many do we have? We have 2. So I'm going to go right here from the 2 line. And go back down. And then I need to create a new interval over here that is, let's see, let me use a different color. 101 to 120. And how many's in that category? 3. So I'm going to go up to 3 over, and then I've got that one. All right. Any questions about how to make a histogram? Okay, your homework tonight is going to be interpreting a histogram and looking and answering questions about it. All right, so we are going to put this in our journal on page 125. This example histogram is going to go on page 125. Glue it in, and then we'll look at the stem and leaf plot next. All right, let's take a look at the stem and leaf plot. So, your stem can be the tens, it can be the hundreds in the tens, the thousands in the tens. It just depends on how big the data is that you're working with. Our data ranges from the 40s to the 60s. Okay, so it's going to ask us questions about individual students. Sometimes you can just go through and interpret it and answer the questions. But a lot of times if there's a lot of questions, I like to go ahead and put my data back together. So let's look. This stem is a 4, and these leaves are our 1s. So we're talking about, what numbers are we talking about? What's our first data point if I put this 4 and 6 together? 46. So I'm going to list my data down here. It's going to help me since we're just beginning. The next number, if I put this 4 together with that 8, I get 48. And the next number is also another 48. I have a 4 and an 8. That's a 48. Am I done with my 40s? Yes. Now we're going to go to the 50s. My first data point, if I put a 5 and this 0 together, I get 50. This 5 and this 5 makes 55. Do you all understand how we're putting these back together? This stem always stays the same, and we put the different leaves, so it's always a 50-something. All right, so our next data point is this 5 and 6, and we get 56, and then we have another 56. Why are you not writing? 57. How many 58s do we have? 2. 58. 58. How many 59s do we have? 3. 1, 2, and 3. What's next? 60. How many 60s are there? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 students the exact same height. Then we have 61 inches. We have that 2 times. Then we have 65, 66, and 68 inches tall. All right, so do you all see how to take a stem and leaf plot and put it back to create your individual data points? Yes, okay. How many students are at least 58 inches tall? So does that include 58? At least 58, does that include 58? Yes, so it's 58, and is it taller or shorter? Do we want to go to greater numbers or smaller numbers starting at 58? Greater. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 students. How many students are less than 58 inches tall? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then it says list the height of the students below. And did we already do that? Yes, we did. All right, now we're going to create our own stem and leaf plot. Okay, so let's see. We have numbers in the 20s, in the teens, and with nothing in the tens place. Let's see, 20s, 30s. So it looks like we're going to go from about 0 to 30. So over here we need our stem, and over here are our leaves. My stems, I think I'll start with 0 and go 1, 2, and 3. Why did I start with 0? Because I have numbers like 7 and 9, and there's nothing in the tens place. But these teens have a 1 in the tens place. All right, so let's start listing. I have, let's see, some 6s, 2 6s. What next? A 7. Are there 2 7s? Yes. Then what? 2 9s. Then I'm going to go to the teens. There are 2 14s. So a 4 and a 4 and a 7. Why do I not have to put commas? I feel like I should because it's a list of numbers, but because I know that I only use one of these with whatever the stem is. All right, moving on to the 20s. There is 120, so I'm going to put that there. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 21s, so 4 1s. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a 24. And there are 2 28s, so list 2 8s. There is a 30, a 31. I stopped at 14 and 17. I didn't mark those off. And I'm left with a 34 and a 35. And that's how you create a stem and leaf plot. Easy. You remember that from last year? Okay, we are going to glue that on.